What if I told you that the harder you fight your bad habits, the stronger they actually become? In the West, we're taught to conquer our vices with brute willpower. But what if that exact mindset is why you're trapped? Today, we are unlocking an ancient, friction-free system of change. Rooted in Japanese philosophy, by shifting from self-warfare to deep curiosity, you'll discover why your brain triggers cravings, how to dissolve them effortlessly in 10 minutes, and how to naturally overgrow your old patterns. It's time to stop fighting yourself and start rewriting your identity. Section 1. The Willpower Trap. Why does January feel so full of hope, but February feels like a massive defeat? Think about your last big New Year's resolution. Did you promise to hit the gym 6 days a week? Did you delete your social media apps in a burst of temporary motivation? Most of us do this. We treat change like a war. We believe that if we just push harder, we will win. We use words like crush, conquer, and destroy when we talk about our bad habits. But let me ask you a serious question. Has that aggressive approach ever truly worked for you? In the long run? For a few days, maybe it works. Your willpower is high, and you feel unstoppable. But then, a stressful workday happens. You come home exhausted, and your brain screams for comfort. Suddenly, you are reinstalling the app. You are eating the junk food. You are lighting the cigarette. This is the willpower trap. In Western culture, we love dramatic, sudden transformations. We are obsessed with the no pain, no gain mentality. If you fail, society tells you that you are just weak. We are taught to feel deep shame when we slip up. But this mindset is completely backwards. Fighting your habits head-on actually makes them stronger. When you fight an urge, you are giving it your full attention. You are fueling the fire with your own mental energy. Your brain registers this constant inner battle as severe stress. And what does your brain do when it feels stressed? It reaches for the closest, most familiar comfort. It reaches for the very habit you are trying to break. So here is my question for you today. Why do you think modern culture is so obsessed with fighting ourselves, rather than understanding ourselves? Have you noticed this difference in how your own country talks about self-improvement? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I really want to know your experience. It is time to realize that willpower is a limited resource. It runs out quickly when life gets tough. If you want real permanent change, you need a completely different strategy. You need a system that does not require an exhausting mental battle every single day. Section 2. The Japanese Alternative. What if the secret to breaking your worst habits is to completely stop fighting them? That sounds impossible, right? But in Japan, this gentle approach is a centuries-old way of life. The Japanese look at human nature through a very different lens. They do not view habits as enemies that you must defeat. They do not believe in using brutal force against your own mind. Instead, they developed a system that works with your nature, not against it. To understand this, we need to look at how traditional Japanese culture views the world. It is deeply rooted in the concept of harmony, or wa. This philosophy teaches that everything in life flows better when we avoid unnecessary friction. When you fight yourself, you create friction. When you use intense willpower, you create a violent storm inside your brain. The Japanese approach is about finding calm within that storm. It is about learning to step aside, rather than standing in the way of a speeding train. Imagine a river flowing down a mountain. If you try to stop the water with a heavy wall, the pressure builds up. Eventually, the wall breaks, and the water crashes, through with even more destructive power. This is exactly what happens when you try to quit a bad habit by sheer force. You build a wall of temporary willpower, but the pressure of your desires keeps growing. Soon you give in, and the relapse is often worse than before. The Japanese method does not build walls. Instead, it gently redirects the flow of the river. It allows your energy to move in a healthier direction without a violent clash. Think about how much energy you have wasted over the years, just fighting your own mind. Imagine if you could use that exact same energy to grow, to create, and to heal. This video is not about giving up or losing discipline. It is about discovering a more intelligent, peaceful path to self-mastery. Let's step away from the battlefield of the mind and explore a wiser way to change. Section 3. Habits as ancient solutions. Why did your worst habit start in the first place? Nobody wakes up one morning and decides to ruin their life. The Japanese approach starts with a very beautiful, compassionate idea. They believe that every single habit, even the most destructive one, originally began as a solution to a problem. Think about that for a second. Your bad habit is not a sign that you are broken. It was actually your brain trying to protect you. Consider the person who smokes a cigarette during a stressful workday. The cigarette itself is harmful, but in the beginning, that 5-minute break provided real comfort. It was a rare moment of deep breathing and quiet. Consider the person who overeats late at night. The food might be unhealthy, but that late-night snack once filled a deep sense of loneliness or exhaustion. Every habit is a tool that once served a purpose. It was a coping mechanism for stress, boredom, or emotional pain. When you look at your habits this way, everything changes. You stop feeling intense shame. You realize you are not dealing with a moral failing. You are dealing with an old solution that no longer works for you. Western approaches often try to tear down these habits overnight, but nature completely abhors a vacuum. If you simply destroy your old solution without understanding its purpose, you leave a painful, empty space. You are still stressed. You are still lonely. You are still bored. But now you have no way to cope. Your brain will panic in that empty space. It will desperately search for survival, and it will eventually drag you back to your old, familiar vice. To permanently change, we must first become detectives of our own minds. We need to stop judging the symptom and start looking at the root cause. What is the real hunger behind your craving? What is the hidden wound you are trying to soothe? Once you understand the true purpose of your habit, you can begin to heal it without a war. Section 4. Radical curiosity over judgment. How do we actually look at our root causes without falling into the trap of self-blame? There is an old Japanese story about a young monk who struggled with a terrible temper. Every single day, small irritations would build up inside him. Eventually, he would explode with rage at his innocent students. He tried absolutely everything to control his fiery mind. He meditated for long hours. He repeated sacred mantras over and over. He even fasted for days to punish his body, but absolutely nothing worked. The harder he fought against his anger, the stronger and meaner it seemed to become. He felt deeply ashamed and completely defeated. Finally, an older, wiser monk noticed his painful struggle and gave him a piece of advice that changed his entire life. "Stop trying to get rid of your anger," the old man said gently. "Instead, I want you to become radically curious about it. Watch it like you would watch a white cloud passing through the blue sky. Notice the exact moment it arrives in your mind. Feel how it expresses itself physically in your body. Notice what specific thoughts come along with it. But you must promise me one thing. Do not judge it and do not fight it. Simply observe its movement." The young monk doubted this simple method would do anything, but he decided to try it. The next time a wave of anger arose, he did not try to push it down. Instead, he quietly said to himself, "Anger is here." He focused on his physical sensations. He felt the intense heat rising in his chest. He noticed the tight tension holding his jaw. He observed the chaotic thoughts that fueled the fire. He watched them like an outside scientist studying a fascinating experiment. Within just a few weeks, something truly miraculous happened. The anger completely lost its terrifying power over him. By observing it without judgment, he had created a beautiful space between himself and his emotion. He could finally feel the anger without being controlled by it. It passed through him quickly like a brief summer storm. Section 5. Surfing the urge. This powerful shift in perspective relies on a core Japanese philosophy. It is the deep understanding of Mujō, or impermanence. This wisdom teaches us a simple truth. Absolutely nothing in this world lasts forever. Everything changes, everything shifts, and everything eventually passes away. And this includes your most intense cravings and psychological urges. When a desperate craving hits you, it feels completely permanent. It feels like a massive wave that will drown you if you do not give in immediately. Most people either surrender right away or try desperately to distract their minds. Both reactions treat the craving like a massive emergency, but the Japanese approach suggests a fascinating third option. Acknowledge the wave, feel its full weight, but do not act on it. There was a businessman in Tokyo who smoked for 20 long years. He used this exact philosophy to finally free himself. He did not throw his cigarettes in the trash. He actually kept the pack right on his desk. When the intense urge to smoke arrived, he would pick up a cigarette. He would hold it in his hand, smell the tobacco, and fully experience the craving. Then he would simply set a timer for 10 minutes. He told himself he could smoke when the timer rang. During those 10 minutes, he did not run away. He did not watch TV or scroll on his phone. He simply sat with the discomfort, watching how it moved through his body. He noticed a fascinating pattern. The craving would peak around the 3-minute mark, and then it would naturally begin to fade. By the time 10 minutes passed, the intense urgency was completely gone. This was not a victory of brute willpower. It was a victory of deep understanding. Cravings are not permanent commands, they are just temporary sensations. Most urges last only between 3 and 5 minutes at their peak. If you can patiently surf that brief wave without being pulled under, you discover something world-changing. You are not your cravings, you are the calm awareness observing them. Section 6. The anatomy of micro-steps. Why does Western culture love massive overnight transformations so much? Think about our movies and stories. We love the dramatic montage, where someone changes their entire life in just 3 minutes. We want to go from a total couch potato to a hardcore marathon runner by next Monday. We want to stop all our bad habits instantly and perfectly. But this all-or-nothing thinking is a direct ticket to failure. The Japanese approach uses a completely opposite philosophy called Kaizen. This famous word means continuous, tiny improvement. Instead of trying to change everything at once, you focus on changing just 1%. You make your steps so small that they feel almost ridiculous to your mind. If you want to break a habit of watching 4 hours of television every night, you do not go cold turkey. You do not throw your TV away. Instead, you reduce your viewing time by just 5 minutes today. That is it. Just 5 minutes less than yesterday. To the modern Western mind, this feels way too small to matter. We want big results, and we want them right now. But this impatience completely misunderstands how the human brain actually works. The neural pathways that support your bad habits were built over many years. They are like deep, concrete canyons in your mind. You cannot demolish them with a single explosive decision. They must be slowly and gently rewired through tiny, consistent actions. When you make a massive, sudden change, your brain registers this as an emergency. It triggers your nervous system's alarm bells, creating intense anxiety and resistance. But tiny changes slip completely under your brain's radar. The alarm bells remain totally silent. There is no resistance, so you can actually sustain the progress. Let me ask you a question about your own life. Do you feel that your culture pressures you to make big, fast changes rather than slow and steady ones? Why do you think we are so afraid of small steps? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Let's start a real conversation about this cultural pressure. Section 7, the Kyoto delay method. How do we actually apply this micro-step philosophy to our modern digital addictions? Let us look at a beautiful example of a woman living in Kyoto. She struggled with a severe online shopping addiction for years. Whenever she felt stressed, she would instantly buy expensive things on her phone. She tried cutting up her credit cards, but the intense cravings always won. Instead of fighting her urge, she decided to use a very clever Kaizen strategy. She did not promise to stop shopping forever. That would scare her brain. Instead, she created a simple new rule. She had to wait exactly 24 hours before purchasing any item in her digital cart. If she still wanted the item after one full day, she allowed herself to buy it. This tiny change felt incredibly easy to do. It did not trigger her brain's panic response at all. But this small temporal buffer began to break the immediate loop of impulse buying. It separated the emotional trigger from the physical action. After a month of success, she gently extended the waiting period to 2 days. Then she moved it to 3 days. Within 6 months, she was easily waiting a full week before making any online purchase. And here is the most fascinating part. By the time the week passed, she found that she rarely wanted those items anymore. The emotional storm had completely passed, and her rational mind had returned. This elegant method works because addictions live inside immediate gratification. Your brain releases a massive spike of dopamine when you get what you want instantly. By introducing a small delay, you smoothly starve that dopamine loop. You are not saying no to your desires, you are simply saying later. This simple shift takes away all the friction. You can easily use this exact method for social media, junk food, or any digital distraction. Stop trying to ban your bad habits instantly. Just slowly increase the distance between your urge and your action. Section 8. Finding what fills the void. Why do bad habits return even after weeks of successful self-control? The answer lies in a powerful Japanese concept called Ikigai. This beautiful term translates to your reason for being, or what makes your life truly worth living. The Japanese understand that bad habits do not exist in a vacuum. They stick around because they are desperately trying to fill an empty space in your soul. We often smoke because we are deeply stressed. We overeat because we feel completely lonely. We scroll endlessly on social media because our minds are bored and unstimulated. If you simply rip the habit away through force, you leave that inner space completely vacant and bleeding, and your mind cannot survive in an empty desert. The Japanese approach focuses on discovering your true Ikigai. It asks you to find what genuinely brings joy to your spirit and use it to replace your vices. This is not about just swapping one random behavior for another. It is about understanding the deep, hidden need behind your habit and meeting that need in a beautiful, healthy way. Consider the story of a talented computer programmer who drank heavily every single evening. For years, he believed he was simply addicted to the physical taste of alcohol. But after deep reflection, he discovered a fascinating truth. He was not addicted to the alcohol itself. He was actually addicted to the transition it provided. Alcohol was his personal ritual for shifting gears, from intense work stress to relaxing personal time. Once he understood this root cause, he created a brand new transition ritual. He started changing into highly comfortable clothes, brewing a warm cup of herbal tea and spending 10 minutes sketching. He used to love drawing as a young child, but had completely abandoned it for decades. This creative act reconnected him with a vibrant part of his true self. As this positive, nourishing pattern grew stronger, the heavy pull of alcohol naturally faded away. He filled his void with purpose, and the bad habit simply lost its job. Section 9. Radical self-compassion. What do you do when you inevitably slip up and fall back into your old habit? In Western culture, we often motivate ourselves through incredibly harsh self-talk. We call ourselves weak, lazy, or completely broken. We use toxic shame like a heavy whip to drive our progress forward. But science and philosophy both agree that shame never creates lasting positive change. It actually creates a vicious cycle of rebellion and immediate self-sabotage. When you shame yourself for a mistake, you create a painful split inside your own mind. One part of you becomes the cruel, angry critic. The other part becomes a stubborn, rebellious child. These two inner forces war against each other constantly. This battle wastes the precise mental energy you need for actual positive growth. The Japanese approach handles mistakes through an ancient concept known as Kintsugi. This is the beautiful art of repairing broken pottery with precious gold lacquer. Instead of hiding the fractures, Kintsugi highlights them, making the object far more unique and beautiful than before. This philosophy teaches us to embrace our flaws and human imperfections with deep kindness. Consider the story of a school teacher who struggled with emotional overeating for many long years. Every time she slipped up and ate junk food, she launched into brutal self-criticism. This harsh treatment made her feel even worse about herself. To soothe that new layer of emotional pain, she would naturally eat even more. It was a completely endless, agonizing cycle. Then she learned to practice a new kind of non-judgmental awareness. When she overate, she stopped shouting at herself. Instead, she quietly noted the fact, I ate more food than my body actually needed right now. This is a simple data point, not a moral failing. Then she became a curious observer. What emotion was I feeling right before I reached for that food? Was I feeling unappreciated at work? Was I feeling lonely? This gentle inquiry, completely free from shame, allowed her to understand her triggers. She finally found the safety to start healing. Section 10. Overgrowing the old path. The ultimate lesson of the Japanese system is incredibly liberating. Breaking a bad habit is not actually about breaking anything at all. It is about patiently building something brand new. You do not need to violently destroy your old patterns. You simply need to grow completely beyond them. Think of a strong, healthy tree growing around an old metal fence. Over time, the tree grows so large that the fence becomes completely irrelevant. This is how you change. You develop beautiful new routines until the old ones naturally lose their purpose. Think of your current habits like well-worn paths through a thick forest. You have walked that exact same route thousands of times over many years. The path is perfectly clear, wide, and incredibly easy to follow. Even if that path leads to a dark place you no longer wish to visit, your feet naturally walk it. They follow it because it is the neural path of least resistance in your brain. You cannot simply erase a physical path in a forest by shouting at it. You cannot wish it away with brute force. But you can choose to step off that path and begin walking a new route. At the very beginning, this new path is admittedly difficult. You must push through thick branches. You must step carefully over completely unfamiliar rocky ground. This initial stage requires your conscious effort, slow patience, and focused attention. But each time you choose to walk this new path, something beautiful happens. The grass gets trampled down a little more. The route becomes a bit clearer and easier to see. Meanwhile, back on the old path, nature takes over. Because it is completely unused, the wild grass begins to grow back. The weeds smoothly cover the old tracks. Eventually, the old path completely disappears into the forest. This is exactly how the neural pathways in your human brain function. The more you use a positive connection, the stronger it naturally becomes. The less you use a negative connection, the weaker it grows. True, lasting change is not a dramatic test of your willpower. It is simply a beautiful practice of patient repetition. You are not conquering yourself. You are not defeating your weaknesses on a battlefield. You are simply growing into a fuller, wiser version of who you already are. Walk your new path today, 1% at a time.